Welcome into episode 139 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, host Stefan Loeffler at Junk Twins, Ben Wilson at our trading cards, and I'm Tim Scheffler at Big Ship 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we have to bring you a smart, insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
On YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available as a podcast everywhere. Check out the website aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Underdog Collectibles. They are a card shop for collectors, run by collectors. You can join them live on YouTube and Facebook every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for live card breaks. They offer a wide variety of break options that won't break the bank. Remember, always bet on the underdog. We have a very special guest with us tonight at Philly Puck Fan. James Kakowski, our in-house lawyer. He keeps us out of jail. That's why we're all here. James, what's up, buddy? What have you been up to since we last spoke? It's been a while.
I have launched, today's the official launch of MyHobbyWire. It's a news aggregation website, MyHobbyWire.com. I was trying to figure out my place in the hobby, and there's so many Pollyannas, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but there's not one place to find all the news stories in the hobby, and that's the goal here, is to have a place where you can go and see what's happening, links to the various sites, and try my best to not have an agenda. Like, I do have a little bit of snark, obviously, but it tries to be funny. And like, this is a hobby. These are 2.5 inch by 3.5 inch pictures of other men, so we shouldn't be taking ourselves too seriously. But at the same time, a place where anybody can go to and see, hey, this is what's going on today. So I was very happy to be able to officially launch it here. It's been up for about 6 weeks now. I had to control the urge to troll you with putting the McGuire story back up, but it's been interesting. We're finding our way here. It's some sports stories. So, like, for example, Royce Lewis is out for the season. That stinks, Steph. And other things like the Strongsville show was canceled, and that show scheduled for April. So it makes me wonder about the National. Other things. So there's been some folks that have helped, but I am looking for people who want to be more than just sending tips off. I don't know a whole lot about basketball cards. I don't know a whole lot about football cards. I don't know hardly anything about Pokemon cards other than they exist. So if any of our listeners are interested in contributing to this, I don't think we'll ever get rich doing this, but we should have a lot of fun doing it. And feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, and I'd love to help. When work is busy like it's been the last few days, it's been tough to keep up with one guy. So that's what I've been up to the last 6 weeks now.
Awesome. I love hearing that. So now we have another place to misappropriate information from.
Have at it.
No, I mean, it's great because, again, that's what I love about what we do here on the show is that, yeah, we might have a certain snark or angle to what we're talking about, but a lot of times it's like, hey, here's what's going on. We want you to know. We want you to be aware, because we're not getting on this. We're not getting rich from this either. We're doing this because we like doing it, and we want to share this information with other people in the hobby, because a lot of times this stuff goes under the rug. They don't see it. Someone's not on Twitter. Someone's not on social media. They listen to the podcast or they watch the video, or that's how they get it. And so it's good to know that there's another source out there that's putting out some unbiased information and not slanted in the way of a sponsorship, or hey, we got a free box and here we're going to review this, and give it a great review because it was free, and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, well, it's concerning. There's a lot of real hype right now in the hobby. I'm not breaking any news here, but it's disturbing, some of the things that you see out there. And I don't want to pick on anybody in particular, but there are some folks out there that are hyping products that are, that they're great, but are they $800 a box great? Where do they think it's going to go from here? There are counterfeits all over the place. There are bad breakers all over the place. I'm shocked that in 6 weeks I've only caught one. But it's only a matter of time. So there's 99% of the people in this hobby, well, maybe 95% of the people in this hobby are really good folks, but when we have a group breaker who so obviously is changing cards out, well, that gets buried. Well, it's not going to be buried here. I'm not going to be intimidated by him.
Out of 99.
Brandon Cooks.
The infamous card that got swapped.
I'm not familiar with that one, but we did have that guy who claimed that somebody was at the door, and then, well, the reflection was on the computer. He was obviously standing in front of his computer, shifting cards around. And I'm not going to be intimidated. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to sue you. Okay, I've got your videotape, and I'm an attorney. Good luck with that, buddy. But yeah, if you get caught, you're going to get caught. If we have proof, it's like, okay, please explain why you said someone was at the door when no one heard a doorbell and you didn't move. Please explain that. And as there's some lame explanations. Like, yeah, obviously, okay, you're caught, man. Just refund everybody and ever do a group break again, and we'll forgive you.
Right.
But it makes me wonder how many people that guy has burned. Since, like, how many? Like, if I was ever in a break with him, and I wasn't, if I was ever in a break with him, I'd be wondering, okay, so how many times did I get burned by this guy?
That guy's got to be done. I would imagine he's got no future in this hobby. I know he started changing his name on different Facebook things and whatnot, but I would imagine his hobby presence is probably done for good. And good, it should be.
Yeah.
If you're going to scam people over a card that might be worth a couple $100. I mean, the valuation shouldn't matter, but literally you sold your soul to the hobby devil for X. That's literally what you put your reputation on. You assigned it a dollar value.
Yeah, this hobby has a lot of devils.
Yeah, that's again. There's a reason. Like, I always get creeped out by the memorabilia people, because I don't think you could trust. And I don't know any of them personally, but my feeling with memorabilia people is that it's the opposite. Like, 5% might be upfront and honest, and the other 95% maybe not. And I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. Just, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. And that's the one thing in this hobby, is that all you really have is your reputation, your name, and what you put out. And once that's soiled, you're toast. Now, you can keep changing and flip-flopping names, but you're going to get found out eventually. And my big thing is that, like, I put out something, and I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Is I accidentally bought a card from Probstein 123 the other day. Now, it was a numbered parallel out of 50 of Garrett Hansed that I didn't have, and I got it for like $7.50 shipped. Like, it was a steal. Like, I've been trying to hunt this card down for a long time, and I was like, awesome. And then I didn't even see who it was from. I just paid right away, and then I see the email come through that I bought a card from them. Like, oh my God. So I tweeted out, and this guy goes, why are you attacking one of the biggest, consigners in this hobby? And I'm like, well, because they've been in all of this shill bidding. All these accusations have been brought against them, and people have talked about this openly. And I said, just because they're big and everybody knows who they are doesn't mean they're honest and upfront with everything. And so it's one of those things. Just because you're the biggest doesn't mean you're the best and you're the most honest. That's when you can get into more. And
Well, look at McDonald's. They're probably the number one nation. Does that mean their food's good?
Well, there's like TNT, that guy Ted. He's a horrible portion of the hobby. I bought from him plenty of times because he opens up stuff like stickers and stuff that not everybody does open up. But He's got horrible customer service. His shipping is considerably higher, probably by 15 to 20%. And literally the only reason to buy from him is because he's got access to certain products where you can kind of, or right away. And I know he's been rumored to have been part of shill bidding and selling stuff that didn't belong to him and all kinds of just nonsense, and people have come out asking, hey, if Probstein is such a bad person, why, PWCC, where's the proof? It's like, if there was proof that we could prove this, then they'd be out of business.
They even talked about that fake bad podcast like that with that guy that was, the personality of the Manila folder, like.
Yeah,
and he said, it's like
the guy was justifying the doctoring the cards. That guy.
Yeah.
But that was with like, to be fair to Probstein, like I haven't found any evidence, but their setup is set up in such a way that it's not detectable, because you send your cards to Probstein and you don't like the prices that are in, you and your buddy start bidding it up. Mm-hmm. So it's not detectable, and that's not Probstein's fault. But at the same time, I don't think that they're doing a whole lot to say, well, don't do this. Yeah, PWCC, we've got proof. They went on a podcast and talked about what they were doing. I was like, are you kidding me?
So
worst criminals ever.
So as a lawyer, it goes back to that old principle. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And so as a lawyer, you couldn't take them into court necessarily, but the rumor and innuendo, what we believe to be true, obviously, oftentimes public perception is what it is. And I've bought from Probstein before, and I put a max bid of what I was comfortable buying it for as a buy it now. It was a certified Martin Sheen auto from the West Wing, or the photo being from the West Wing. And what I paid out the door is exactly what I would have paid from any seller on eBay. The only difference was it had a starting bid of considerably less than what I ultimately paid. And it was awful convenient that I paid my exact max bid. And it was $24.99 plus shipping. So it wasn't like it was $25 on the dot. So it was curious. But at the same time, it's like, hey, did I get shill bidded? Yeah, probably. But I was comfortable with the purchase, and I felt dirty, but still hanging on my wall. And
you got over it when you got the card. Like, I'm okay. I mean, the card shipped, and I'm fine with it. It's just one of those things. Like, I was just kind of like off the cuff, comment, and it was just, to me, it's like, but yeah, like, the biggest thing is that your reputation is the only thing you really can control in this, and what you do goes a long way. So, Steph, you had something about consent.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be Jeff Passan here. I'm not trying to blow people's reputations up for the sake of it. I try to identify the good stories in the hobby too when we find them, or the funny stories when we find them. I'm not going out of my way just to hunt people like certain sleazeballs in the media who pretend to be honest brokers do. But if I catch you, I'm gonna let you up.
Steph, you had something related with consignments?
Yes, not work. Although we do plenty of consignments. No, a good buddy of ours, 2-ish years ago, took in a consignment for a guy, and he's been slowly selling it, and he just hasn't heard from the guy in like a year and a half. Now he still has the stuff, and he's still making sales, but at what point is not getting contact? But I don't want to say statute of limitations, but what's the how much should he do to actually try and attempt to get this guy's attention to give him his money or his cut of whatever they agreed upon? Because he's made phone calls, he's looked the dude up, he's tried to contact friends of his, and he doesn't want to appear to be shady, but also
the obituaries.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you could try.
It's not, implausible. Things happen. I mean, at work right now, we have kind of an employee that's gone missing in action, and it's completely unlike her. So yeah, we started reaching out to how would you get a hold of somebody who doesn't want to be gotten a hold of?
Right.
In a COVID world, it's entirely possible that you start. Your mind automatically jumps to the worst case scenario, but it happens. It happens all the time.
Sure.
You don't want to have to think that way, but
yeah. But so what's this? What's his? How much does he need to put out there to say, hey, listen, I sold $100 worth of your cards. Where can I send this money to? before he basically has possession of the cards after 18, 19, 20 months of trying to find the guy. Can't.
And it's closer to like $5,000 now.
Okay.
That's the thing. You know, if this is like $10, $50, whatever, but that's a sizable amount for someone who's engaged and looking to get married soon.
If it were me,
started.
If it were me, and I believe I can imagine who it is that is doing the consigning, you know, I would go to the bank. I'd go to the bank. I'd open up an account, kind of like a savings account, which is more or less like an escrow account, right? Stick that money in there since it's technically not mine. Out of sight, out of mind for the time being. Continue to reach out to different avenues. You know, a couple more months go by. You know, what's the statute of limitations on something like that? I mean, if you've tried everything publicly and openly for 6 months and you literally can't get a hold of this person, then at that point you'd have to almost look at it like that person has, you know.
Well, and that was kind of his moral dilemma of whether, you know, at what point do you consider it like the lost wallet at, you know, if it's lost for 6 months, the employees are free to take it.
I think we're talking about an abandoned property issue. That's going to be a matter of state law. So how long before something's considered abandoned in your particular state? That's probably their best bet.
Makes sense.
And I would suggest Ben's first step is a good idea because you don't want that cash just lying around. You don't want it commingled. But at some point, you know, you were hired to co-sign, and if they had a contract, that spell this stuff out in your contracts, folks. Spell this stuff out.
Well, and there was a verbal agreement on top of it too.
We'll see, and that's what it goes to. If I just
wonderful,
just send it over to Tim and say, "Hey, Tim, just sell." You know, and at this point, once I give the stuff to Tim, then it's really on his moral compass as to whether or not, you know, if he wants to say, "Hey, these are mine. We don't have a contract." You know.
I think if you're co-sign, you keep selling it because right now the market's hot, and if the guy does come around, he's going to get his best return if you're selling now.
Sure. And he's trying to do right by the person.
It's funny, Ben, you say that. Is that one of our local buddies here? He's given me probably 5,000 cards to go through.
Or the box that's behind you.
Yeah, he's set up and been like, okay, hey. You're way more organized than I am, and I have all this stuff, and it's not doing me any good in these boxes. Can you sell it for me or figure out what to do with it? If it needs to be like donated stuff, or if it's show stuff like quarter box fodder, or if it needs to go on eBay or whatever. And so I'm going through the boxes, and he wants me to sell them. But before I even list anything, like I've thought about this, is like making a very basic agreement, putting it together, and doing some research and saying, okay, hey, listen, this is what our split is. This is what our agreement is. Just so we're friends. I don't want to ruin that. And he's like, I trust you, and I get that. Like, that's awesome. But I just want to make sure that we're, you like 6 months down the road, you still feel the same way about me and what we're doing, and that we've agreed on something. So
do you have an LLC?
Not yet. So that's this is all stuff I'm looking at. So
this is the other issue, specifically because the person that Stefan is referencing called me and talked to me about this because he had a family member do his taxes. I think we touched on this in a previous show, but he got into some hot water when PayPal reported all of the revenues that had run through his PayPal account. And the IRS came back and said, you owe $40,000 in back taxes. And I was like, listen, the problem is, what'd you make off these consignments? And he's like, I forget, 3%, 5%. And I was like, this is the problem is you received 40,000 real dollars into your account in your name, but you gave 37,000 to James, right? It's like, hey, that's James's money. That's his tax liability, not Ben's. Ben kept 3,000. So you've got to be able to issue that 1099. You've got to be able to offset that and pass that tax burden to whom it belongs to.
Yeah. And
this is the case is, he's sitting there in hot water, and IRS is looking at him like, well, somebody's paying taxes against this money, this reportable income. And right now it's on you. And he's calling, when he's talking to me, he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, first thing I do is pull all my PayPal transactions and try to find out if there's a way for us to be able to send that tax liability to somebody else. But the problem is I don't know that we can do that retroactively because there's really no paper trail, I'm sure, other than the fact that you sent X amount of dollars out of your account, but that says nothing. And so
this is a whole bigger conversation, and so that's kind of why before I even listen to anything, I'm just kind of going through and having fun looking at someone else's cards that I've never seen and going, did you realize you had like these 10 autographs and they were just loose, like they weren't in like even a penny sleeve? He's like, yeah, he goes, a lot of it's stuff that was donated that people just left at the card shop, and he helps out, and they're just like, take it. And he's like, okay, like this man built like I think a complete set of like museum collection, and who does that? A museum base collection, base set, like because people just left so much behind. James, I want to know before we get really into the meat of the show, I have a very important question. Have you picked up any new PC items lately?
Yeah, I was able to. Is there a way for me to share the screen here?
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. Share. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tap it in.
Screen. Okay.
I love finding out when I like seeing when other people are like find new stuff. They're adding another PC and they're excited. Ooh.
So that's from 1996-97 Leaf Fire on Ice. It's Wayne Gretzky. It's numbered, I think, to 2,500, but these have been impossible to track down. The 97-98 version is numbered to 1,000, but I've found 4 or 5 of those already. This was only the second one I've seen in 3 years. So I went a little higher than I wanted to on this one. But when I think about if this were a Michael Jordan card from this era, it would probably go for 10,000. Just breaking $102 isn't a bad deal. And I try the Lemieux shows up a week later, of course, and I'm like, okay, I can't get in a bidding war on Lemieux. I can't. I have my budget, and I'm going to stick to it. But it was really difficult to not.
Well, and he didn't play for the Blues all that long, so they have him in a Blues uni, right?
Yeah, it's a Blues uniform. He's in a Blues uniform, not half a season. The Blues uniform, but it says it's the New York Rangers. So It is one of the, and like the image really doesn't do it justice. I've got an old scanner. This thing is just, this pops. It does have some chipping because these are foil cards from 25 years ago. But it's like I haven't seen a sealed box of 1996-97 Leaf hockey in a long time, and I check on that. I check on that every day because I put aside 1990s boxes when I can. They're hard to come by, but yeah, this was my PC pickup for probably the biggest PC pickup I'll do all year.
I like it. That's awesome. I love seeing that. Now, are there any rookies we need to be aware of for the upcoming during this season, and also maybe like in Series 2? Because I know our boy Nick Wasika Steph is excited because his boy's got a young gun, and Nick actually took the photo. So
who was it? Do you remember? Oh, well, that's one. I haven't looked at the complete checklist. Well, I did look at it, but I didn't look at it closely. It's not out for a month or so, I think. I think Keandre Miller from New York Rangers is a superstar waiting to happen. He's a defenseman, so defensemen do have a ceiling in the hobby, but he's not gonna. He's a good player, and he's not going to embarrass the organization. And there's been plenty of embarrassment for the New York Rangers. So I mean, I'll check back with your guys and give you a cheat sheet down the line. But okay. I know for sure Kaprizov is he's already I think he's front runner for Rookie of the Year right now. Yeah. And Keandre Miller is probably up there too right now.
But even though he plays for the Wild, people want to collect him.
No, you got just looking at the list real quick. Kaprizov, sure. Dylan Cousins, sure. Miller's good. Calfoot, the other foot.
All right, yeah.
That'd be interesting. The ex-Av, I think. Yes, he is, son of. Barba, no. Pius Suter, sure. Blackhawks. Tim Stutzel.
Stutzel from Ottawa.
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner in Edmonton.
A good 4 to 5 guys.
Kevin Lankinen on Chicago. This is not as deep a checklist as Series 1 from right off the top, but you've got to. So this is a lot like Bowman too. Like wait 5 years. Who knew David Pastrnak was going to be what he is now? So this is like the third guy named Igor in a set. Okay, so okay, that's interesting. I'm with you, Steph. This isn't as deep a checklist, but there's going to be some players that come out of here.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I appreciate that. We'll have to bring it back to when we talk hockey Series 2 when it comes out. So, but you're gonna hang out with us, right, for the rest of the show?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's hop into it. The week that was last week's releases. Topps Living Week 154. We had card 389. Ian Anderson, rookie pitcher of the Atlanta Braves, sold just a few over 2,800. Card 390. Byron Buxton, outfielder, Minnesota Twins, a shade over 2,200 cards for him. Not a bad week. Again, you had a known player, vet, and a rookie, and it was a pretty solid week. Nice to have 2 cards over 2,200. We also had 2021 Panini Certified Basketball, 1920 Upper Deck the Cup, and 2020 Panini Limited Football all dropped last week. Hot off the presses this week's new releases. Topps Living Week 155. We had card 391 Andre Dawson, Hall of Famer, Montreal Expos, and card 392 James Karinchak, pitcher, Cleveland Indians.
Karinchak, solid relief pitcher. Showing last week's here just to review it. This week's, hey, they picked the right team for Dawson. Sure, he can make an argument for the Cubs.
Nope.
But give Cracknell some love.
Yeah, he's the third Expo.
We've actually been arguing with Topps Living staff for the better part of this entire program that if and when they did an Andre Dawson, would it be an Expo or a Cub? And I'm so happy they did an Expo, to the point where when I texted him today to say, hey, I'll be buying one from you, he never responded, probably because he's upset. He's probably crying. So
the 3 Expos: Vladimir Guerrero Sr., Gary Carter, and Andre Dawson.
And Carter's one of what?
List.
Carter's one of what, 3 players with Dustin Fowler and Bartolo Colon that had, full image or full body image, or at least upper body.
I believe so. And by the way, all 3 of those guys, Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
All 3 Hall of Famers. So it was a good. I mean, I'm not excited because there wasn't a rookie this week, but we have an active player, and another Indian. So we've had a few Indians the last few weeks, and then an Expo getting some love. Whoa, hello.
I found a slew of Topps Chrome Update before they instituted the limits here, and to 125 that's in the line. Not that I'm an Indians fan per se, but Angela wants to mag touch it. Fancy looking.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, John P says that we have a legend on the show tonight. So,
well, yeah, I'm back
from the wilderness. We were supposed to have plates and patches and Donruss basketball, but it got moved to next week. So we scrapped the bottom of the barrel, and we have 2020 Leaf Flash baseball. After reading about this, I'm kind of like, this isn't too bad. $103 a box. You're going to get 1 pack. You're going to get 6 cards, but they're all going to be autographs. It's a 122 card subject set. There's 7 color parallels, which sounds like a lot, but not really if you compare it to a Panini release with like 4,000 parallel colors, and it's all kind of staggered. It has some 2020 draft class guys in there. Other top prospects. I saw Fernando Tatis had an autograph in there. It's a flash is a chrome card, but instead of like a flat finish, everything has like speckled dotting in the background. So it has like a little bubbly look to it, I guess. Asa Lacy is in there. Austin Martin, Byron Lara, Ed Howard, Heston Yerstead, Jason Dominguez, our favorite New York Yankee of all time, the greatest baseball player ever to live. You have Julio Rodriguez, who was kind of mentioned by the former CEO of the Mariners. What a dum-dum that guy was. And Spencer Torkelson has autographs. There's a ton of guys. There's a slew of names in there. But if you're looking to hop in and get 6 autographs for $100, not a bad deal, especially if you hit the right guy. And there's some of the newer kids in there that maybe you're not able to buy Bowman because it's ridiculous. And you get in and you get an autograph of these guys. Like Wander Franco's got autographs in there. And I don't think they're bad-looking cards. Again, no logo. But
so it's just like the Leaf.
Yeah, it's like metal, but just, with a little more pizzazz, maybe? I don't know.
Sure.
Look, Acuna's little brother's in there.
Metal's always been a solid product. I that's about the only one of Leaf that I've had in person or even saw a picture of and said, you know what, I've picked up a little bit. They've done some Conseco in the past. Metal's solid. So this is probably going to be a fairly decent product, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Why is this 2020 though?
It said it was supposed to be released in December 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
According to that sales sheet.
Yeah, because I remember seeing this. It got some of the stuff got pushed. It got there was like some shipping for my distributor. There was some shipping and stuff issues with it, and so that's why I know it got pushed back a little bit farther because I think this was supposed to be out like a couple weeks ago, even then. So,
well, Panini did Elite Extra Edition in January. Topps did Bowman Heritage in January. So we've seen a couple of baseball products pushed into January that probably in a normal non-COVID world probably would have come out on time.
And I think we're back on track for the most part as far as with the being within the sports season, staying in that same year. So make sure you check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more details on all these new releases. What's brewing next week's releases? We have 2020 Panini Plates and Patches Football, 2021 Upper Deck Black Diamond Hockey, 2021 Panini Donruss Basketball, 1920 Upper Deck Clear Cut Hockey, 21 Donruss Baseball, 2020 Panini One Football, and 2021 Panini Revolution Basketball. I guarantee you there's 7 new releases. I guarantee you not all of these are coming out because 5 of the 7 releases are Panini releases. So that's quite a bit to push out in 1 week. I would expect we see the basketball and plates and patches for sure because they were supposed to be out this week. So we might see Revolution and maybe one.
Donruss, I'm pretty sure it definitely gets released.
Yeah. So we will see. But more to talk about next week. Let's hop into infield chatter, our hobby talk part of the show. Pro Set is back. So last week, Pro Set is back. Twitter handle came out, and I was messaging back and forth. Hey, you should come on the show. I loved Pro Set as a kid. They were touting an 1989 Pro Set design, the orange, lovely design that had, headed for the rookies, and it had Trevor Lawrence and whatever, right? So the big reveal was it was Leaf. Leaf was behind it, and I know Brian Gray was on the Hobby Hotline this weekend. I checked it out for a few minutes, and so real quick on the Leaf website, the card is still available. It's available through the 28th. The Trevor Lawrence 2021 Pro Set rookie card, print to order. Don't miss these, they say. It's the first Pro Set card in almost 30 years. The card will be available print to order on basis, at which point they will be out of print. You can buy one card for $7.99. You can buy 10 plus for $4.99 a piece, or 20 plus for $3.99 a piece. Leaf will announce the print run as soon as the order deadline expires. And like Leaf's iCard series, these cards will be on high gloss with both sides to help ensure these cards are in beautiful condition. So, I bought a couple just because that was the first year I collected football. It was Barry Sanders rookie year. This card looks super cool. I hope Brian was telling the story about how they were after Pro Set for like 10 years, trying to get the IP for it, to get the license to be able to use the trademark to actually use it. Well, this guy picked it up for like $1,500, and to keep it active, you have to make cards or whatever the trademark is for. You have to keep it active. So he was selling like bird and wilderness cards on his own personal website, and he was selling a handful every year. just to keep the trademark alive. And Brian reached out to him over the last few years, and the guy had some astronomical price on it. And Brian's like, it would have cost all my kids' college tuitions, their weddings, all this stuff. It would have cost him to buy because that's how big the number was. And then all of a sudden, it came down. Then they made a deal within 3 days. He had the trademark in his hands, and I liked how he said that in 1989, Pro Set and Upper Deck kind of were the disruptors of the hobby and doing things differently. And Pro Set did a lot of good things, but they also left the printers on for a long time in the early 90s and just made stuff. But they came out with I remember in the Pro Set, they had the Jim Thorpe card, they had the Santa Claus card, they had the Captain, that superhero Pro Set Man or Super Pro Set Man or whatever he was. And when you'd pull those cards, you'd like, awesome. Or then you'd have the crazy air cards. Like, I remember I had the Derek Thomas 1991, where it was sack leader and he was a Buffalo Bills logo, or the Darian Connor, which said he was a first round or second round pick in 1999 and not 1990. And those cards sold for crazy amounts. And
or the infamous belt issue.
Yeah. So it's great to see this brand back. It's funny that it's Leaf and that I'm enjoying it, but
it's good that Brian was able to bring that back into the hobby. To have some random guy, and no offense to him, own something like this that is an iconic brand, an iconic image, and not doing anything really hobby related, so to speak. It reminds me of back in the early 90s when the internet first took off and all the domain names were coming out, and Arnold Schwarzenegger bought up all of the variations of his last name, all the popular misspellings, to make sure he controlled that. And he didn't want some random person having one of the alternate spellings and ruining his reputation. In this case, you have Pro Set belongs to some chucklehead like me. And I'm only kind of keeping it alive, posting Sam Cooke cards, which only I would want to buy. I mean, come on. This should be bought by one of the four companies, Leaf being, a legitimate company. And
timestamp that. Timestamp that.
Exactly.
You bought one. So what's that?
I bought 3.
Okay. But I mean, we have to recognize Leaf as, maybe Brian's not in the same arena as Topps and Panini and to a lesser degree Upper Deck. But he does have player exclusives and stuff like that. We have to recognize him as an actual hobby-related company, whether we give him a hard time and razz him or not. He's come on the show. He opened himself up to all kinds of negative feedback and
well, I did. I want to talk to him about coming on the show and talking about this and what else I can do with it.
I'm glad it's in the hands of one of the four companies that are going to make hobby-related cards. Sure. And this is a fantastic addition. And we've said this every episode since we started. We're going to give credit where it's due, and Brian knocked one out of the park on this particular one. He got the license, and hopefully he does more with this, and it's a good addition to the football portion of our hobby.
Yeah. So
Jeff,
when
it was announced that it was Leaf, it wasn't really necessarily a surprise because that's what he did with the Leaf license to begin with. Because he'd previously run, I want to say it was Razor Entertainment. They had like a 2008, 2009 product that had Tim Beckham and Buster Posey and some other major baseball names. But then they picked up the Leaf name and kind of ran with it from there on. So for him to announce that, hey, I have Pro Set, it wasn't shocking.
Well,
for him, so he's number 4, right? But this is what's going to get him closer to number 3. Not to surpass Upper Deck or Panini or Topps at any point, but he's closed that gap a little bit. The more kind of stuff that he does like this, the more legitimacy we have to recognize. And good for him. I hope he takes
above Cryptozoic though.
Well, that's Cryptozoic and Rittenhouse are a little different because they're non-sports. So yeah, I mean there are other companies that have licenses, but if we're talking about just sports, he's in the conversation and bringing back popular sets like this. Good for him. it helps to legitimize his brand.
Sure.
And ProSet did towards the end of ProSet, they did put out one of the best designed cards of hockey cards of all time. Like, I'm gonna share the screen again for a second. Is that all right?
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like ProSet early on was, I don't know, man. I mean, I always they always had like a really good draft pick set in the football, and
It reminds me a
prospect.
lot. It reminds me a lot of early score, like 88, 90 score.
So, like, memo to Upper Deck and Top, especially Tops, like, that's what a card set should look like. You should be able to read the name. But yeah, ProSet did make some moves. We wouldn't have the hobby we have right now, but for it wouldn't be the same, but for ProSet. So as much as they printed up this stuff, there was some definite progress pushed by this company. It's kind of poetic in a way that Brian is trying to push the hobby, and so good for him. I hope he does well with it. It looks like so far so good.
Yeah. And Jeff Pritchard and Pitchford in the chat asked earlier, he goes, "What about buying Leaf buying the rights of ProSet? May be cool. Who owns the Fleer brand?" And I believe Upper Deck.
It's Upper Deck.
Upper Deck
owns Fleer, right?
Yeah.
And they released something. Was it 2013? They did. Was it Ultra? They did a Fleer release and like
retro.
Fleer
retro.
Yeah. And it kind of flew over like a.
We've also done Fleer Showcase. I think as recently as 2016, 2017, something like that.
Yeah.
So no, as far as we know, they still own the license.
I would like to see them do some Fleer hockey.
Well,
right?
They did team a Fleer something in baseball, but it quickly disappeared. I think it was Fleer Retro, maybe. But
yeah, they use the Fleer. They use the Fleer properties in hockey now and then. They're gonna Skybox. Fleer and Skybox, I think, were together at some point. Were a mesh. Skybox Metal Universe is going to be coming out in April, and it's already pretty. Like, I haven't been able to pre-order any of it yet, so it's probably going to be a pretty hot product.
Yeah, no, and so that's the kind of cool stuff. Sales growing. So Nancy Chen News tweeted out, and it was a whole story on CNBC, or is it NBC? No, hold on, it wasn't. It was the CBS one. Yeah,
CBSN.
CBSN. Yeah, these aren't baseball cards of your childhood. Growing up in popularity for a few years now, interest in sports trading cards have exploded since the pandemic started. At Panini America reports sales growing by 500%. At Target and Walmart. And there's a video, and we'll send out the link, but she talks to a card collector. Where was he? In Oklahoma. And he talks about, collect what you want and don't let other people influence your collecting. And I was at the very end, Sands sports cards in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Cards.
Oh, SNS cards, yeah, sorry, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I love that. This guy's been in the industry for 30 years. He's had the shop for 22, and he said he's seen more kids come in this year than ever before, which is great. But I loved how he said that, like, collect what you want. And so, obviously we all know that Walmart and Target sales have been through the roof. I went to my local Walmart this morning to grab some coffee and a couple other things, and the card aisle's gone now. There is no more card aisle. So, and I asked, and they said, yeah, we're not bringing it back.
So I would imagine those numbers are a little artificial in the sense that it only pertains to the stores that are continuing. I think by the end of this year, we had mentioned, I think last year on the show, that by quarter 3 that we would see a precipitous drop off in this fiscal year, if not gone altogether. And I think as we start to approach quarter 2, we'll see that they're still going to be around in quarter 3, but the amount of stores that have discontinued them for a variety of reasons, and now that Target is putting SKU issues in place and things to kind of limit and prevent this. I mean, I shared 2 pictures earlier on Twitter. People in the aisle, and maybe just kind of a off the cuff remark about people waiting to clock in, so to speak, and then people waiting outside, a line outside, like your good old Best Buy days, Tim.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, the pretzels. Hopefully, they don't run out of pretzels. Obviously, we know what they're out there for, and it's like this is getting ridiculous. And I can see stores just not wanting to deal with it. The margins that they're making and don't give me percentages. 20% off means nothing to me. I can't cash 20% off, right? If it's a $100 item and you say it's $20 off, $20 is quantifiable. That's quantitative. I can put $20. I can resell or buy $20 of something else. 20% off means dink to me. So when they say 5,000%, first off, do you have those numbers specifically in front of you? And that could mean that you sold, 500% increase. Cool. You sold 5 this year instead of 1 last year. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
I mean, we've all seen it just kind of take off. But yeah, like I think it comes down to one is how much are they making off of it versus how much our labor are they actually. When labor's tight already, I can tell you, especially in a retail environment, having spent a lot of my time managing labor and the dollars allocated. When it gets cut, you're going to not want to spend it on things that aren't making you any money. And cards are going to be that. Plus, it does take a lot of labor because, one, now you have to have in security risks and the pandemic and social distancing, all of this on top of each other. It's like, why even bother with it? It's not worth it. We're making 2% off of this. Who cares? It's costing us, 10 times as much just to sell and move the product. What do we want to waste all that time and effort for?
Well, even if you're making 50% off of it, right, which is a good, fantastic retail margin, and on a space like that, I would imagine 30% plus would be the margins that they would require. I know for certain that Walmart requires a minimum of 25% margins on something like that in premium space. But the thing is at a $20 blaster, if you're making 50%, cool. You're making $10 gross revenue, right? In Walmart's pocket before they've got to, disperse that into their overhead and whatnot. But, how many boxes does the shelf hold? It holds a finite amount. If they only fill them up on a Tuesday and a Friday, and like you said, now I've got to have somebody monitor that section, whether it be security or be in-store personnel. I don't want to dedicate that. If I'm a manager and I get dinged for out of stocks and empty shelves when that's how I keep my job and food on my family's table. And I can go throw some clearance or some of that, seen on TV or My Pillow guy, and I can throw that up there at a 70 to 80% margin and blow that stuff out. And I control that. I have my staff fill that. I can yell at you, Tim, if you work for me and say, Tim, why don't you fill that? Not, hey, can you call the Excel rep or the MJ Holdings rep and have them come over? Can we get them in the store? I'm not getting written up as a store manager, as a district manager, for out of stocks that I've got to monitor and babysit because a bunch of degenerates want to sit there and try to flip it for 2x on Facebook. Come on now.
Yeah. Well, and Brian in the chat says, can you blame people for trying to buy retail? I mean, come on, look at the prices of the hobby. 2021 Panini Prism basketball is going to be $3,000 per box for crying out loud. We get it. But again, I would say about 60% of the people that are trying to get this are just taking it to flip it. And I don't blame them for trying to make money, trying to do the retail arbitrage with the product. What I'm saying is it's not worth the company's time that's having the product in their store to sell it because they're not seeing that money, but they're dealing with the hassle and what it's doing to their other patrons. And when it comes down to dollars and cents for these big companies, they're going to say, you know what, we can put some other stuff there. We can sell candy bars over there, make more money. And guess what? People aren't making a run on Snickers bars anytime soon. So that's the thing. And empty shelves are a bad look. Look at Fry's. I mean, people were pointing out Fry's like, hey, I've been to Fry's lately, and they're showing these rows of empty. And then today, Fry's is gone, which I'm not surprised because guess what? They didn't have. Okay. Side note, really quick. Fry's was dead years ago. I don't know how they've stayed alive, but right. I worked. A lot of you guys know I worked at Best Buy for a long time. When you would go return something to Best Buy, like if I bought an HDMI cable that was 4 feet, and I needed one that was 8 feet. And I went back to Best Buy. You could return and take the money you spent on the 4-foot one and apply it to the 8-foot one and pay the difference and be on your way. At Fry's, their system was so antiquated and from the 1980s, they had to return it and then you would have to rebuy the other one, but it was so slow, it would have to repost to your card X number of days later. So you couldn't use that money in the store.
That old theory of you'll take my money immediately, but it takes 3 to 5 business days for you to give it
for
back.
return.
Yeah,
right.
and also too, I know from somebody in my life that tried to sell them a corporate payroll. They didn't have emails in the store. None of the stores had emails for any of the managers. They had a green screen thing where they communicated to the stores.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then they also didn't have any kind of a time clock for employees to use. It was manually done.
So does email stand for electronic mail? Is that not what the E stands for?
Uh-huh.
And you're in an electronic store and you can't even get an email in there?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? Paging each other?
The company was stuck in the 1980s.
Their website was nearly as antiquated as Sport Lots.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry we got off on this tangent, but what I'm saying is that when empty shelves are a bad look for a retailer.
Just one quick follow up to Brian's comment about the fact, we don't blame anybody for wanting to rip retail and trying to add to their PC. We all know that the majority of those, not all, they're not all degenerates. The majority of them, though, are the ones trying to flip for 2x, 3x. They're the ones that are filling up trunks. They're the ones that are selling out of their trunk before they're even out of the parking lot. But there are plenty of singles out there, and I know that's not everybody's first choice as to how to acquire their PC items. It doesn't work for everybody. A lot of people enjoy the gamble, the hunt. Go find your puzzle pieces and hope that you pull something and build like we used to back in the old days, right? You buy a box, you build your sets, or you build your whatever you're after.
You know what I love?
In this era right now, it's singles. That's the direction we have to go.
I love seeing that jackass with all this Pokemon, and Pokemon's like, yeah, we're gonna print all this stuff. We're gonna keep printing all this stuff.
They're gonna process it.
So you keep buying all this championships stuff. We're gonna keep making more of it for you. We're just gonna turn the printers back on.
The best one I saw was somebody that had bought a bunch of the like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Mm-hmm. And he was on Facebook and he's like, so I've got all these Pokemon out of the cereal for sale at XXX. And then he did an edit on the bottom of his post. He says, I'm right now in negotiation to donate all the cereal to charity. And I'm just
do it, dumb. Just bring it down there. They're going to take the cereal. Dumb. In negotiation.
As long as
you go to the Little Sisters of the Poor and say, will you please take my cereal?
You idiot. It's like, listen, man, I at least appreciate the people on Facebook that say, hey, I have it and you don't. Here's the price. If you want it, laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. Don't really care. I got it. Hey, you're still a jerk, in my opinion. But you know what? At least be honest. Be transparent about it. Don't try to say, well, I bought I'm trying to give the cereal to the less fortunate as I'm trying to price gouge somebody. Last time I went to the store, Cinnamon Toast Crunch was there in droves. I could buy a pallet of it if I wanted it.
But there are
cards at all.
3 extra Pokemon cards per box.
I know.
Also, speaking of sets.
Ooh, that's a nice set. Where did you steal that one from?
I didn't. However, I found my Missing Worn Moon recently.
Did you color it in with black Sharpie?
That I bought like 2-3 years ago. And through Sport Lots, I finished the set.
Congrats! I love that.
That's 396. I do have a misprint.
Of course you do.
And I do have a Matt Millen signature.
Nice. That was one of my favorite. That 85 and 86 Topps football. Those two designs are ridiculous.
There's something about the set and for the stickers, because I opened a few cellos myself. I think I only have like 4 different ones, but 2 Elways and 2 Peytons. So I figured that's pretty good trade bait.
You saw Walter Payton, not Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Are you smarter than a 3rd grader? A 9-year-old girl is suing Panini. Paul Lesko put this out, I think, Thursday. I'm going to read through. He read through and he posted some really good comments about it. So I'm going to kind of read through and we'll go from there. Panini is already embroiled in a punitive class action in Texas based on its redemption card program. This is potentially large and wide-ranging lawsuit if it goes wrong for Panini and could be, quote, bad, but nowhere as bad as what it can best be described as a 9-year-old girl versus Panini. The 9-year-old plaintiff allegedly received a Hanukkah gift from which she pulled a redemption for Claude. I'm gonna butcher his name. Claude Giroux auto. The plaintiff was thrilled and immensely excited because Giroux was her favorite player. Panini allegedly claimed it did not have the card in stock, so it offered points instead. Points? I love how he said that. 9-year-old plaintiff then reviewed the available cards and declared what was available was predominantly garbage, so rejected Panini's offer. Panini then allegedly ignored 7 attempts by the plaintiff's father to work out a better deal, so this lawsuit followed. Bringing this heartfelt tale to a close, the claim states the whole incident was made the 9-year-old plaintiff feel sad and reflect on the joy she felt 1 year ago upon opening such a prize with a profound disappointment. For real, though, this claim raises a breach of contract and consumer fraud claims, which it appears Panini might have to address as early as February 24th, was today. So we might see what happens quickly.
Two quick things before James gives his opinion. One, this did get pushed. There was an update to April 1st. And two, props to the dad for using the daughter as the linchpin of, oh, it's my poor daughter who's just completely up the...
But when's the last time Panini made... my question is, when's the last time Panini made hockey products?
Or 2012, 2013, maybe 14?
So the redemption was expired, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I just want to know what your guys' thoughts are. I find it hilarious using your child to put this out there, but I love it.
Well, first of all, this is Philadelphia. This is my old a district that I practiced in for years. It has a reputation of he who shouts the loudest wins. This is Judge Harry T. Stone in Night Court, basically, that this is going on in. So we've got Dad as a partner in a Philadelphia, a white shoe law firm. And Panini's hired a white shoe law firm to defend them in Philadelphia Municipal Court. I wish I could be a fly on the wall to see this, because this is going to they're going to go in front of a judge who likely doesn't have, if they're lucky, he has a high school diploma. So it's just going to be entertaining.
So you're saying I should move to Philly and become a judge?
I don't know if you're corrupt enough,
George Brett, you got. Let's do
this. You've got, so that's the backdrop here. So you've got these two, and I don't think these two lawyers have ever been in Philly Municipal Court. So maybe Panini's lawyer has been, but this other guy, no way. No way has he darkened the door of this before. First of all, if Panini's general counsel was in charge over there, they would have went out, they would have bought a friggin' Giroux patch autograph for $60, sent to this kid and been done with it. But no, we're going to court apparently. I would bet they'll settle. I hope, I'm a little bit like Paul Esco. I hope they don't, because this is going to be hilarious if they don't. But the Panini has stuck it to themselves by honoring old redemptions. So because I predicted, because of what this dingus in Philadelphia did, because he's not an honest broker here. He bought a 6-year-old box of hockey cards for a company that doesn't produce hockey cards anymore. And he knew there could be redemptions in there, or at least he should have known. So he's not an honest broker. He's not a good guy here. I predict this is the end of Panini honoring expired redemption cards, because it's not worth it. It's just like the retailers it's not worth it to have hordes of unwashed people waiting for retail boxes that they're making $10 a blaster on. It's not worth it for Panini to continue to redeem these expired redemption cards, because they've now set a precedent where a course of practice where, they're going to still redeem the redemption card. So people are buying it with putting a reliance interest on getting it. So thanks for nothing. Moron in Philadelphia.
You cut out right at the end.
Right when it was getting awesome. I think he was the same moron in Philadelphia.
So, speaking of 1991 Fleer.
Did you really burn 91 Fleer?
Yeah, I did. I could stack about 50 or so.
So I was invited on the Trash Panda Experience. It's a hockey card podcast. It's brand new. It's episode 7. Myself and Jeff Soxy went on there to discuss the economics surrounding the hobby as we see it right now, and this came up as a topic, and I had the same point. I probably even borrowed it or misappropriated it from James and basically said the same thing. You know, if there is a real little girl here, you could have made her a very happy person for under $300 and sent her a care package off. And it would have come. We wouldn't be talking about it right now because nobody would have been the wiser. Everybody's happy. Yeah, the dad should have known better. But hey, if you have if it's a 2-year window that says we will honor this redemption until the end of this particular day in time, then that's it. That means the next day, sorry, it's got to be in by this time. Didn't we not just go over this with the Seth MacFarlane autos, where you had a year to redeem it, and you had to show, you know, this, and this, but after that date, you're done. You don't get the autograph anymore. That's really what it comes down to.
I have a question. So Bean in the chat says, I'd love if Panini would send me my Charles Barkley and Alex Manoah redemptions I've been waiting on more than a year, where I both have live autographs and products currently. So he has redemptions that haven't been filled, but yet they're filling autos and new products. Like, are you kidding me?
They do that all the time with different players. Panini is more infamous than Topps in my limited information and experience. You see this all the time with Panini, where you'll see live stuff. I'm sure Topps does it too. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, to JP's position in the YouTube chat, where he says, "Why not just eliminate them?" You know, I know Cryptozoic goes out of their way to push back products in order to make sure they're all live. Redemptions are especially in baseball, where you've got this long season and you're creating products in the middle of the season. It's very difficult to get some of these players to sign unless you want sticker autos.
Well, this goes to Sox Collector 35, who reached out. He said, after redeeming this in January 2019 at Top informed me today, and this was like this week. So you're talking almost 2 years later, over 2 years later. Informed me today that they won't be able to make this card. Hopefully the substitutes will be at least somewhat as awesome as what this would have been. This is a 2018 Topps Triple Threads Deca Autographed Relic Book Gold Parallel. It was supposed to have, so this is a 10-player autographed relic book. It was supposed to have Hank Aaron, Ernie Banks, Johnny Bench, Chris Bryant, Derek Jeter, Clayton Kershaw, Buster Posey, Cal Ripken Jr., Nolan Ryan, Mike Trout. Now, at the time, Banks had passed away right before this happened?
No, he actually died in 2015. I was surprised because I went back to look to see why they couldn't make it, and I was like, well, Banks probably just died, and I didn't realize he'd been gone that long.
So even if they had a sticker and we just lost Hank, but everybody else is there, like, it took them 2 years to get back to you to tell them they couldn't make the card? Like,
well, so I had made a comment about this, right? You have 8 of the 10 who are still alive. Couldn't you swap out Aaron and Banks? And somebody said that Ernie Banks had Topps Fire sticker autos in 2017, and you know, whoops, somebody should have held back a sticker if you're going to make this. I mean, the guy had passed away 3 years prior to you making this, and you've got to know what you have as far as sticker autos go. And most of these are always sticker autos anyway, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, why can't you just slap 2 other players on there and say, hey, it's not what you thought you were getting, but we got, you know, Willie Mays and Chipper Jones instead. Okay, I'll take that too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Insufficient postage. So Nacho Norberg at PGN 3540 on Twitter got off the phone with eBay's customer service after having 14 USPS returns for my standard eBay shipping trading cards under $20 program, and then eBay recommended brown envelopes, 71 cents, 71 cents insufficient postage. Not great. Let's see how this gets resolved. The recommended envelopes I purchased from their link. I wonder if they just didn't do enough testing before this rolled out, where it was these brown hard envelopes. Other people came back with that had like postage due and didn't get things shipped out. You know, I understand that eBay put out some things on there, and you kind of go with what they want to go with. I mean, somebody asked me what I was using, and I got these at the dollar store. Let me bring this up here. Right here. So just the small, like 6 3/4 envelopes, or what I've used, the 3x5/8 and 6.5 envelopes, the number 6 3/4 wide envelopes. You get 40 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. I've been using these and no issues whatsoever. The thing is, and it sucks that eBay says one thing, but the postal service is coming back and saying another. You kind of have to lean their way on this. So,
well, and first things first, if you guys haven't or are you looking for something to read, Nacho Norberg had put out or does put out a really excellent blog. But yeah, that stinks that they don't have a set terms of here's how you use the program.
But
so I would stick with regular envelopes.
Yeah, last week, Tim, just you and I on the show, and you had said we're all learning together. I know I don't want to give somebody the wrong credit. I don't know if it's JP or who it was, had said that they reached out on eBay on a $5 shipping tab, and they said, hey, can you use the new PWE shipping service and charge me $1? And the eBay seller responded, that doesn't exist. And I know, Tim, you said you had something recently as a seller, and I think right now we're still all learning, A, that it exists, B, how to maneuver it both as a buyer and a seller. It's not going to go right off the presses and be perfect. It's going to take us a while, and by a while it might take us 3 months, 6 months. I sat on eBay the other day. I don't have very many cards listed anymore, but I went in there and said, you know what? All of these should go PWE. They're all $3, $4, $5 cards, nothing major. And I no sooner did I change it, one of the cards that I've had up there for a while sells. Why? Because it doesn't have $4 shipping anymore. It's down to $1. And we're all learning, and the envelope issue is going to be one that we're all going to have to learn on, which one are preferred by the post office, not by eBay. Yeah,
and Herman, it gives a variety of sizes you can use. So I had a guy reach out to buy a card for me I sent, and it had the tracking in the listing. It says, standard envelope shipping with tracking or whatever, $1, and said, hey, this should have been in a bubbler mailer. It had tracking. And then I said, no, it's, this new service. I will send you the 29-cent refund. Since you paid $1 and I paid 71 cents to ship it, I will send that to you. I haven't heard back yet, but it's like, be aware, too, I can understand, I think eBay could make a better awareness of it, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. I think that, we ask questions, certain people are going to, I remember like Bo, a Million Cubs, I bought something off of him and he got stuff back because they said his labels were too small. And so he's like, I've been using them. So all of a sudden now it's too small. So, he's figuring that out. So it could just be the postal service. We'll see, but we'll keep you updated. I love it. It's super helpful. I sell a lot more cards with $1 shipping, and being able to track it to make sure someone gets it than doesn't. I think it's awesome. That's the one issue I've had, and I've probably had over 100 and something odd sales since I rolled it out and started using it. So
yeah, I'd love to track how much money I had saved over the 2021 year with this new program, but it's kind of tough to know exactly, if you only stuck to eBay and not Sport Lots, where a lot of that is, economy shipping anyway, a lot of it's PWE stuff. But it's hard to know because some of that stuff that I buy would have been PWE anyway under the old system. But I imagine a lot more buyers are going to see inventory moving. Because, again, I can't tell you how many times I've clicked on a parallel that, A, I don't need, B, that I want just because it's an A's card, and C, that I click off of and it's an easy pass because, to me, it's not a $7 card. Now, all of a sudden, if it's a $3 card shipped, now all of a sudden I'm going to be buying a lot more of these.
Yeah, because it's like I see these guys selling, like somebody had a Buster Posey, was it Rainbow foil parallel early on, and he was selling the card for $1.50. I was like, oh, that's a great deal. And it was $4 something odd to ship. I was like, what? dude, like this is available, and this guy had a store, and so I'm like, how do you have a store? Are you not using like they're eBay's not dinging you, your seller for using this product. I actually think that if you use it and you're successful with it, they should even give you a better increase because I think they'd see more sales and they're going to get more out of this. Anyway, guys,
sure.
Yeah.
I got a quick hypothetical before we move on to the next point. Would you rather be like the guy whose picture I showed earlier who had like 100 boxes of Pokemon and some NBA hoops packs? Or would you like to be like this guy?
Oh, that guy, because I could sell those all day long. Let me sell those. Let me sell them Thin Mints. I got a couple pallets of Thin Mints and some Samoas, which they're called Caramel Delights out here in California because because they're different.
Just give me one box of those Samoas.
That reminds me of the meme that I've seen every once in a while on Facebook that says, the guy like me, the big fat guy that goes up to the Girl Scout cookies and she's like, it's $5 a box or it's 2 for $10. And then the guy's like, that's not a deal. And she's like, I never said it was a deal. It's like, it's like, hey,
don't mind if I do.
Yeah. It's one of those things like, I'm not going to give you a deal because I know your fat ass is going to buy it anyway, Ben. You're right. Let me get 4 Samoas and 2 Thin Mints and a peanut butter for the life.
And she just texted me and said she'd take a case of Thin Mints and Samoas.
But you got to put the Thin Mints in the freezer.
Of course.
You do, yeah.
So I know Ben would buy this. Panini Archives. At Highway 92 cards. Can you imagine one day when Panini lands a baseball license and they do an archive-style release of airbrushed of the past 10 years called Panini Unreleased?
Unleashed.
But I think him and Unreleased.
Yeah. Hey, if they can slap logos on the Donruss archives, and all of a sudden 10 years later I can go back and collect all this stuff licensed. Hey,
some of their products are really nice, logo aside. So yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I know Steph is a Diamond King guy. I love Diamond Kings, not quite as much. Steph likes his Diamond Kings like he likes his Whataburger.
I had pizza tonight, first of all.
Steph, you could have Whataburger or Diamond Kings, but one of them is going to go away forever tomorrow.
Diamond Kings.
Oh, wow. As Texas revolts against Steph. He lives this address in Grand Prairie. I just thought it was
blocked
funny.
out, by the way. I don't know if you guys went back and watched it.
Yeah, that was smart. Graded cards future at Employee 84 says if you don't own many graded cards, you soon very will. In the next 12 to 18 months, slabs will be everywhere and prices will be super cheap. It will be unlike anything this hobby's ever seen before. True or false, guys? Is this a true or false statement? James?
I mean, it's not entirely wrong. I mean, I've joked for a long while that this is now the junk slab era. And I mean, when I can pick up slabs of Kellogg's cards from the 70s for $2 to $3 that are 10s. Okay, Danny Thompson, you're coming to my house.
Okay, I'm turning into Steph, by the way. I have a bunch of early 80s Kellogg's cards in front of me to sell.
81s.
I have 81s. This was 83.
Pull up the
Rod Curry real quick on the right team.
It was debatable. If you have the 81s, talk to me after the show.
No, but so what do you guys think? I mean, Ben, what do you think?
Well, it'll be like anything, right? You'll still see a lot of Bowman hold its market worth long term, but a lot of this stuff will end up in dime boxes, quarter boxes, right? I imagine there'll be a lot of slabs that are going to absolutely hold their worth and continue to appreciate over time. And there'll be a lot of stuff that we're like, I go back to the Walgreens yellow parallel of Seth Brown last year. Seth Brown's a 28-year-old outfielder. The A's signed Robbie Grossman when they had Seth Brown. I mean, it's one of those things where like they intentionally blocked this guy. He might get an opportunity this year, but he's not your traditional rookie. He's not a 23-year-old with a bright future. That's going to sign a Tatis mega contract someday. It's not going to happen, right? He's going to be your fifth outfielder. He's a decent hitter, but he's just a guy. And it's like, why would somebody grade this? Why would you grade this? I understand it's a yellow parallel, and the guy was offering asking like $50 on eBay, and then somebody did respond to me. He goes, "What happened was they were probably getting a bulk discount, and they needed X amount of cards in order to buy down the price, and because it's a rookie card and it's a yellow parallel, they stuck it in there to get it graded, and maybe they don't sell it for 50, but maybe they sell it for 25, and there's that, and so it's like you're going to see a lot of that kind of crap end up for really cheap at card shows." He's probably right to that effect, but I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think you're still going to see 50+% of this stuff still holding its respective market worth, and then some of that lower end shit won't.
Yeah, someone sent us a picture today, Steph, of it was a whole bunch of cards to be submitted, and one of them was a 1991-92 Hoops All-Star card of Robert Parrish. Okay, it's like a 10-cent card, and you want to grade it?
Right now,
when stuff like that, like
I know you love Facebook, Tim. I know you love Facebook. I can see you getting a Facebook tattoo in the future. But hey, they do give us a lot of the chuckleheads on there do give us a lot of stuff to talk about on the show, for better or worse. But you see it every day on Facebook as you're scrolling. I just pulled this out of a pack. Should I get this graded? Sometimes it's legitimate. Sometimes it's like, yeah, in this modern hobby, that's a gradable card. That's a legitimate card you should consider getting graded. And a lot of times it's just some random schmo card, and it's like you've got this mentality of every card needs to be graded nowadays, and it's just laughable. And what it cracks me up is when I put the laughing emoji, and then they DM me, they're like, "Why are you laughing?" And I'm just like, "Listen here, dude. You know."
Do you want to not see your card for a year? And really, that's
that's the other thing. And Dan brings up a good point. Player collectors might want to do it, but those guys got to be in the minority.
So a good example of this. Share screen here. $1.19, $1.55, $1.64. I can have these all day. But because someone shipped it off, they think they can get 50, 46. Look, I love Luis as much as the next guy, but I'm not paying that much for a slab card.
No,
because it's good.
But this is the key. Steph, you're their targeted buyer, right? That's the guy you've chosen to collect, and you're not paying it, so who the hell's paying it? It's one of those things like that's such a niche. I mean, we're all player collectors or team collectors. We all have our PC. It literally, I was just going back and forth with a guy on Facebook who wanted a bunch of Maguires sold for $25. I'm like, dude, you literally have $12 there. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, dude, okay. Why would I know what Maguire cards are going to sell for? Because you looked on eBay and saw a couple sold for $1, where I'm telling you it's a nickel card. You know, it's like, listen, man, you're their targeted buyer. If you're not interested, then who is? And that's the
my thing is the cost. I was at the card shop this week, and there was a guy in there that had a raw Jordan, and he was looking to sell it, and the shop owner gave him a ridiculous cash offer for the card because he's like, I think it could be an 8 or better, but he goes, I'm not sure, but it's going to cost me over $1,000 to grade this card, over $1,000.
Nope.
And the guy was like, wow, okay. Didn't end up taking the offer because he thought the card would be worth more. And he's like, yeah, but you have to go get it graded, spend $1,000. And he's like, I'm taking the risk here. They could come back a 6. He's like, this guy's been in the business for over 30 years. And he's like, I've bought and sold a lot of these, but again, it all comes back to, how it's going to be. And I can understand why you would want to do that on a Jordan that looked that good. But I'm just like, $1,000 to grade a card? Are you shitting me? And he goes, well, if I want it back in a timely manner, and he goes, I got to, pay for all that. And he goes, it's like he makes a trip once every so often to actually drop the cards off in person and pick them up. And so I'm like, I was like, it's crazy. I was like, there's no way. I'd much rather just put it in a one touch and stare at it from a distance and be like, okay, I'm happy with it. But
Well, just real quick, when we were at the LCS a while back, Tim, was 2 years now probably, and you talked me into buying that Gem Mint 10 McGuire, 87 McGuire, right, for $25. What are the odds if right now if I went through and tried to dig out a Gem Mint 10 to send off for grading? I've got 758 of them right now. What are the odds that any of those grade 10? I'm sure there's going to be some that would, right? I mean, you're playing the law of averages. Some of those are, but now I'm basing it off of the way I look. Even if I ask the three of you guys, let's pick out the best 10. There's a good chance none of them come back a Gem Mint 10, right? I mean, if, to your point, Tim, the other day, man, I got a whole stack of them in the mail, and 7 of them were like perfectly off-centered equally. They were like 80-20s, but all of them were 80-20s. And I was like, damn, that's impressive, you know? It's one of those things. It's better to buy cards pre-graded. That way, and it might cost you. You might have to pay to play. But at least you can guarantee the you know, whatever grade you're after, if that's your thing. I mean, because there's no guarantee that this guy sends it off for $1,000. Yeah, he gets it back in a timely manner, but he gets a sucky grade by comparison. You know, and he's got to be able to get his $1,000 back on the resale end in order for it to make sense. And he's probably got to get $1,500 to $2,000 back over what he could get raw in order for it to make sense to send it off and take the risk of maybe you don't get it back. You know?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I want to talk about more fun things here. We have about the cards Top Madness, 68 years of Topps designs, 1952 to 2019. The Final Four ended yesterday. Boy, howdy. Number 2, 1956, beat number 2 seed 1953, 15-13. So I guess James Good not coming back on the show again. And number 4 seed 1983 beat number 5 seed 1954, 16-12. So it's 1956 versus 1984. And as we stand right now, Steph, who are you going to vote for? 56. And what is the total now? 1956 is winning 13-9 over 1983. I don't know why I said 1984. It's 1983. I voted 1983 because I don't like horizontal cards. So
yeah, but the whole set was horizontal.
I don't care.
This isn't a team. This isn't 2020 Flagship Series 2 where you get a 12-card team set and they jack Jesus Luzardo sideways. Come on. This is the whole set, and it's 56. This is one of the most glorious sets. I have no problem with 56 or 53 winning. Those, in my opinion, are the best 2 sets of all time. 56 should wipe the floor with 83.
87 should have won this thing. It's been a farce since it lost anyway.
We called this week ago. We're actually, since we have a lawyer on the show tonight, this is perfect. We are going to go to the state Supreme Courts with these results, and we're going to go state by state. We're going to start in Georgia, Wisconsin, Minnesota. We're going to Texas.
We didn't have hanging chads. We had hanging bins.
You're going to get kicked out for standing.
So we're gonna sue the hobby. The hobby.
Wait,
yeah.
James, are you saying he doesn't have a tall enough standing?
No, that wasn't intentional, but it would have been funny.
When I brush my teeth, I can see over the counter without standing on a step stool.
You guys can still vote Wednesday through Tuesday. Next week, we'll wrap it up and name a champion on next week's show. We want to do a huge thank you to Underdog Collectibles for supporting us through this tournament. It's been outstanding. The 7-week run here has just been a great support of the show. Remember, they offer a wide variety of break options that won't break the bank. Remember, always bet on the underdog. All right, let's talk Project 70. Okay. So, real quick, Bobby Hundreds, who made the 1990 Ken Griffey Jr., tweeted out, "Love watching these noob card collectors having trouble understanding my Topps card. By the time they figure it out, it'll be too late." He put in errors, and it was off-centered, and it was miscut or whatever, and it was wrinkled, and it had stuff written on the bat, the bat knob and whatever, and it's fine. my thoughts so far on Project 70 is like nothing. None of them have been like the Blake Jameson. McCutcheon was cool, but I don't know.
If you're going to be a jackass like Bobby Hundreds, we saw this with Ben Baller last year. Don't come into our hobby and start talking crap. You easily could have took the high road, because Blake Jameson, I know, took some stuff last year, and Jameson took the high road. He's like, hey, if you don't like my artwork, that's cool. I can appreciate that. I thank you for your opinion. There's 19 other artists to choose from. Bobby Hundreds could have said, hey, I know that my artwork might not be for everybody, but maybe if you give it 4 or 5 cards, you'll kind of see my vision as it starts to take shape. And come out and call people noobs. It's just like, get the heck out of here with your knucklehead nonsense, dude.
And some of these guys have been collecting longer than I've been collecting. So that to me was the biggest thing. And so I don't know. What do you guys think so far of it? Like, is it just like, okay, whatever? Like, I'm tired of this. Like,
yeah, it's a cost prohibitive price point. And literally, you saw the dude that did the Babe Ruth. It's like a 5-minute Photoshop. We all could have done that if you know your way around Photoshop. It wasn't anything proprietary. It's just this thing is going to take 68 weeks.
Real quick, I'm going to run through there's the Bobby Hundreds card. I'm going to run through the print run so far. So number 1 card was Mookie Betts, sold 9,900. Number 2 was a Fernando Tatis that sold 12,000. Babe Ruth sold 800. Ronald Acuna 6,100. A Tommy Lasorda sold 4,400. The Griffey sold 4,600. The Francisco Lindor sold 3,100. We had a Vlad Guerrero Jr. sold 3,600, and Derek Jeter sold 39. So we see the first 3 cards like triple what the next 6 cards were doing. I mean, if there's a Brett card, I'm going to be a sucker and just buy it because, again, it's a Brett card. And I'll pay the $20 to get the card into my collection, so I don't have to go hunt it down later and know I had it. But like, it's not because I got inspired by with Project 2020. There were some cards that popped that players I wouldn't buy, but I saw the card and I was like, damn, that's a good looking card. I want to buy that card. None of that has happened. I mean, they've released 12 cards now. They're all kind of like I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, somebody said I don't go and go to the top site to look at it whenever they released. I wait. If someone tweets it out, then I'll take a look. But I don't know. They're not exciting to me. So I don't.
Man, he's gone.
I'm back.
So the one that was released today by the 74 Yelich by CES or CES or however we're going to pronounce his name, that was cool because it was different, right? With the artwork and everything, it was different. Something we didn't see in Project 2020. For me, the Weatherspoon was an acid trip, and the Infinite Archives Robinson was just a gold 1966 Topps Robinson. To me, it fit right in with Project 2020. We've been there and done that. I think that's the fatigue of 2020 is going to bleed into Project 70 for so many of us. And I had sent this out the other day, man. I feel bad for Yankees fans because you're going to get 51 Jeters and you're going to get 51 Ruths, and you're going to get close to that with Judge and Stan and DiMaggio and probably Whitey Ford and Lou Gehrig get their fair share, and Munson gets some. And it's just, there's over 1,000 of these, and I bet you there's going to be over 200 Yankees by themselves. Trout's going to get 51. I bet Ichiro gets represented. Jackie Robinson, Clemente come back and get their fair share of 40-plus cards, and it's just going to be, my dad was like, hey, are we going to see a Dennis Eckersley? And I'm like, why would we? He's like, because he was a Hall of Famer, and he was a great player, and that's all true. But if you have an opportunity to make a Tatis or an Acuna, a Trout or an Eckersley, which one are you going to take as an artist?
Yeah. So we'll see how it turns out. I don't know. Guys, question of the week. Series 1 in review. Boom, bust, or just another flagship release?
Another flagship. I've liked some of the inserts. Some of the cards are cool. I have a near complete set. I have Andrew from Bayside sending me the other 8 cards that I need. He contacted me already asking about a Twins team set. You got shot down. No, like I said, I like some of the inserts. The P70s that are die cut, those are really cool. But it's just another release. Underwhelming.
It's a really good checklist. It's the design. I like the design, but the names are really too small. So that it's kind of like the steaks, the sirloin steak served to you on a garbage can lid. You got to look really closely to see who it is. The 86 tops parallel or whatever the insert set. Yay. A lot of these things are off center, so I guess they try to stay with the spirit of the thing by not doing that great. And the what is it? Tops through the years, with they had the one of ones that weren't really one of ones. Was that the one?
Yep.
Like that created some entertainment on Facebook, in the Facebook sales groups. Really, really deep rookie checklist. So I mean, I'm putting a couple sets aside, and I'm putting some Alec Baum rookies aside. And the 1952 tops inserts in retail, but that's really nice. So
they're good stock too. I just got the Matt Chapman today. Those are nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But for the name being so small, it would have been an above average design. And Topps insert cards in my mind are usually throwaways anyway, so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of them.
I liked it because I loved having the borders back with the parallels. Like they stand out, they look good. When you see a bunch of different colors of your, if you're putting a player collection together, when you see the different parallels, they look good. I think this year especially the foil board look way better
really cool
quality than they ever have before. I think they look, because they have like almost a silver border, they actually stand out. They look like a flashy chrome card. Again, I said this the whole time. The nameplates are way too small.
And I like
the design grows on me a little bit. It's not my favorite of all time, but I've seen way worse.
The design implements from the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like a late 90s Leaf product. It looks like a late 90s Leaf Rookies and Stars product.
But I also like the retail 3-pack that comes with a green bottom border. And I'm not just saying that because one of my friends said, hey, they have the 2 Twins ones in Arlington at such and such Target. Go.
They're not.
Hold on. Why didn't that friend just buy them for you? That's not
really
because there's a limit of 3 per.
Yeah, you cut them out of your life.
One, he misread the sign because it said 3 per product, not 3 items total.
Now, the green aren't hideous if you're an A's fan, though, because they work so well. But see, as soon as I realized they were doing 83 and then they did 84 2 years ago, and I figured they were going to continue this every year, I circled this flagship. I was like, dude, I can't wait for the 86. It's going to be gorgeous. I hope they make a McGuire, and now that my checkbook has seen all the parallels come out of it for the most part, I wish they hadn't done McGuire. But for me, the 86 design, the inserts saved flagship from being a garbage product. The interlocking design of, when you put them side by side in a binder is kind of I kind of get where they were going with that, but to me, it's just Donruss meets Topps, and it's not all that attractive. And you factor in the small nameplates and stuff like that; they're just, I mean, it's kind of okay. But
everybody keep buying the inserts because I got them selling them like crazy. Let's keep it up.
So, didn't they do? They did 87 Topps as an insert set a few years ago. So.
Correct.
Are we at the end of this, or are they just going to do that again?
I'm going to do 87 again.
They're going to do it again.
I have a full binder back here that's the 3 or 4 releases they've done, and they put 87 as an insert design since 2012. I think
Nick Bosbrink, who's been a guest on our show, asked me, he goes, do you have a McGuire, A's or Cardinals, in every Topps design of all time? And I'm like, no, because they just keep making 1987.
It's getting creepy because some of these sets that are coming out, like especially the archives when they had the 1981 tops, it's like, okay, you're calling this a vintage card. I'm not a vintage person, so as this is getting creeping closer to sets that I've collected, it's like either I'm getting old or the definition of vintage is changing a lot.
Or when you're watching a commercial and Foo Fighters have a song that's used as a jingle for a truck ad, and they used to play like old time rock, for jingle for cars when we were kids. It's like, or they start playing the 90s rock on classic rock station, and you're like, no, that's not classic rock.
I was going to say that first started to bother me when we started hearing Pearl Jam on the Dad Rock oldies station.
Yes, right. You got Zeppelin, Pearl Jam. You're like, wait, what? No. What are they doing together? Guys, any final thoughts before we head out tonight? No?
Can't think of any.
Oh my God, the peanut! You got quiet.
If anyone has any extra Topps
James
cards, let me know.
I do have one
send me
thing.
a list of what you're missing.
I do have one thing. I want to thank everybody, James included, who hopped onto the Zoom call for some collectors through Twitter. Last Saturday, we were on for probably close to 2 hours, just kind of shooting the breeze and talking Hall of Fame and baseball cards and kind of whatever came up on the sun. We were debating some fringe Hall of Famers that have made the Hall of Fame.
Time you guys do that and I don't show up, try calling my phone because I totally slept through that.
So the next time I think we're going to shoot is a week from Saturday, March 6th, noon Eastern. And again, we'll just hop on Zoom if we can get 12, 15, 20 guys and gals, collectors. Be awesome. It's just a free-for-all of whatever the topic is. We don't really have a set agenda of anything unless something comes up. But it's just really just to kind of sit around, just like we would do it at LCS or card show, and just talk about whatever is on our minds. So March 6th at noon Eastern, hour and a half, 2 hours, just kind of BS and hop in, hop out, come say hi for 10 minutes if you can. And, if you stick around for the whole thing, that'd be great.
Are there that many people that don't have you blocked on Twitter?
That's why only 4 people showed up last time.
I see.
So I have something before we head out tonight. I noticed that there was some conversation from a Gillies Cards about a break with Mojo and not being able to afford top loaders. They were on a break with Chiefs. I don't know what product it was. He said he spent a couple $100 for a break, and Mojo Break can't afford top loaders. Contenders. Anyway, in the listing, it says they don't ship veteran base. Nobody wants Contenders veteran base. We've talked about this before, but it shipped in a bubble mailer, but in some bubble wrap, and there were no top loaders on the 2 cards they did receive. Now, and there weren't any autographs. He didn't hit anything. There wasn't anything big. It was it looks like a insert parallel the same card. Now, I can tell you from experience, and over the decade that God, they've almost been doing it now. I want to say, yeah. And I've known them for at least 8 or 9 years of that. They're hands down the best breakers I've ever worked with. I've never had a shipping issue, but again, things happen. But this is the first time I've ever seen or heard this. But a lot of people have been blowing them up and going after them. And I just want to back and say, hey, listen, like, these guys are legit. I know they're going to make this right. They do the best that, I would say out of almost everybody out there. And some people kind of went after him, including one of our buddies here on the show. So it's kind of weird for me to be in a position to talk about this. James, Run Good Life, kind of went after him a little bit. And so it says and here's Doug's response. Our shipping department is instructed to place base cards like that in a graded sleeve bubble wrap and put the cards inside a bubble mailer, 3 levels of protection. The cards are damaged, we can replace them for you. So, okay. So that means you put base cards in a card saver. That makes sense, right? But things happen. And James kind of went after him and was like, how can I only be doing this for a short amount of time and yada, yada. And Doug comes back and he's just like, hey man, you're doing a great job, keep it up. He goes, a lot of us are friends, most of the breakers are friends with each other, and they have a really good community. And I know Doug and Dan have been over backwards to help anybody start breaking or get into this hobby in whatever way they want to as a source of income. They would hands down sit down and talk with you. This is like a one time in how many breaks have they ever done, and this is an issue. They're gonna told the guy, hey, we'll make it right for you.
Well,
so,
and did I just see
that?
And
I know sometimes we hop on people.
Did I see that Chucklehead J-Mac, that scammer, just posted something with the clown?
He doesn't.
What a fuck. And that was the thing when I went through to read through the things.
World.
It's like half the people I have blocked because they're literally idiot collectors. They're all just look. Doug and Dan are great guys. And we've reached, I can't tell you. I know that they've helped Andrew at Bayside and plenty of other people in the past. This is an isolated incident, and it's a learning opportunity. It doesn't make them bad breakers. I think we lost him. But yeah, I mean, and it's really easy to pile on somebody when there's already a thread going, and you could go, "Oh man, that's horrible."
I'm here.
That's
I don't know
horrible.
what's going on.
Yeah, it's really easy to pile on people, and then there's a couple of breakers that hopped into that thread too to start promoting themselves. If you're gonna hop on something like that and try to vulture business that way, dude, that's not how you build a consumer base. That's not how you build a business. And if I see that, I'll be more likely to call you out than to want to, give you my money for the next break. Yeah, I mean, just don't do that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you marketing yourself, but don't try to vulture business off of something that somebody had an issue with. That's low.
Yeah, he's probably. The guy's probably more mad that he spent a few $100 buying into a break and only got two relic or base cards or whatever. Like that. That's what happened. That's what when you get in a break, you're throwing the dice. Especially in contenders, where you're going to get a Clyde Edwards-Helaire auto. Just go spend a couple $100 and buy the damn thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one rookie on the team you want, and he's a running back. And, God, he really faded fast there this season, and they weren't even really kind of going to him. So, I don't know, whatever. But I just want to say, hands down, they're stand-up dudes. And so it kind of just frustrated me. And it's weird to have, like, two kind of friends going at it and, whatever. They can handle it, but in this hobby, these things pop up and blip on the screen, and we'll move on. But make sure you subscribe and review our show on all platforms. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube
and Central.
Make sure that you follow Underdog Collectibles at UDog Collect. You can always follow James at Philly Puck Fan. Make him your hockey guy. If you don't have a hockey guy, awesome. If you want to help him on MyHobbyWire.com and you want to talk, basketball, football, you want to talk anything.
I'll take that we're trying to do some original content in there too. If you want to be in, doors open.
But except unless your name's Ben.
Even Ben.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, that's good.
Hey, I'm an accomplished writer when I want to be. When I'm not trying to instigate debate and arguments on Twitter, I can actually be okay.
You can always follow us on Twitter about the cards. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow Steph at Junk Wax Swins. You can always follow me at Big Chef 79. Make sure you keep sharing your hobby stories. Great polls. Keep sending your questions our way and keep collecting. We'll see you all next week.